Hey guys, want to talk about our first restoration. Now this is exactly how we got the car. Somebody had started a restoration on this already, and oddly enough, for some reason, had pulled the motor and tranny out, painted the engine bay, but there's an insane amount of metal work that needs to be done. So kind of a weird way of doing it. We're going to blast the whole car apart, obviously, go through the motor and tranny, because who knows who was in there and what was done to it. One thing that's unique about this engine is that this isn't a stamped engine. I believe it's a warranty block. The engine was replaced when the car was fairly new, so there's no VIN number on this engine, but it is a correctly date-coded 1970 383 HP block. So I know we got the right engine in here. It's just how new it is to the car, I really don't know. There's no documentation on it. So as you can see, the car's been blasted apart. We've got all the fenders off, the hood is off. I have all the parts for the car, the original fenders. Car does have an air grabber hood, which is kind of a cool option, but very stripped down. Of course, it's got drum brakes, no power steering, nothing else added. A very little accessorized vehicle, if you will. So anyways, again, the previous owner did some original work to this car. For some reason, painted the engine bay. Doesn't make any sense to me. So also, they blasted off part of this. They also blasted off the quarter panel here. Looks like somebody took some snips to it and started doing some home repairs here. The car's going to need a bit of sheet metal, obviously at least quarter halves. I'd like to try to save as much of the original sheet metal as I can. And again, I do have the original front fenders for this car as well. The other interesting thing they did is they started a restoration of the floor and didn't do it the way I would have done it. They did buy some AMD floor pans, but they started to seam weld all of that stuff in there, so I'm gonna blast that all out and replace that as well. But all the parts for the car seem to be here. It's a very solid car to start with. Frame rails are in really good shape, with the exception of backed by the rear bumpers, but everything else looks pretty good. We definitely got some work under the car to take a look at, but we'll circle back on that later. But just wanted to get this thing outside before we blast it all apart. The other nice thing is all the original glass is still in the car and unharmed. So that's a bonus as well. All the trim, so all the major components are here. Now we just got to get it inside. I want to do some documentation of the car, take some photos, and start tearing this thing apart. So very excited to start this car, and the car is going to go back to its original color. And we'll circle back on that as well. Hey guys, thought it'd be fun to maybe start this little monster before we tear it out. I really have only heard it run briefly. And again, supposedly the motor and transmission were all rebuilt fairly recently, but again, I'm gonna yank all this out and go through anyways. But thought it'd be fun to kind of, hear this thing run one last time before we tear it out of the car. So Matthew's got some gas for me. Come on in, why don't you go ahead and man, we should get to with Ray. Fire.
Just get fire?
Yeah. All right, go ahead. Wow, that's pretty promising.
Well, how long do I need to run it for?
I'll tell you when to shut it off. Wow, that was pretty cool. Actually sounds really good. Carb sounds like she needs a little work. And I may have a stuck float there too, but anyways, there you have it. The last run of our 383 before we tear it out.